Ice sheet melting is perfectly in line with our worst-case scenario, scientists warn. Mass loss from 2007 to 2017 due to meltwater and crumbling ice aligned almost perfectly with the IPCC's most extreme forecasts. We need to come up with a new worst-case scenario for the ice sheets.
Here's a summary of the article.
Mass loss from 2007 to 2017 due to meltwater and crumbling ice aligned almost perfectly with the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change's most extreme forecasts, which see the two ice sheets adding up to 40 centimeters to global oceans by 2100, they reported in Nature Climate Change. Despite this clear mismatch between the observed reality of accelerating ice sheet disintegration and the models tracking those trends, a special IPCC report last year on the planet's frozen regions maintained the same end-of-century projections for Greenland, and allowed for only a small increase from Antarctica under the highest greenhouse gas emissions scenario. We need to come up with a new worst-case scenario for the ice sheets because they are already melting at a rate in line with our current one. Lead author Thomas Slater, a researcher at the Center for Polar Observation and Modeling at the University of Leeds, told AFP. Sea level projections are critical in helping governments plan climate policy, mitigation and adaptation strategies, he added. Ice sheet losses at the upper end of the IPCC forecasts would by itself expose some 50 million people to annual coastal flooding worldwide by mid-century, according to research published last year. Several factors explain why the climate models underlying UN projections for sea level might have given short shrift to ice sheets, according to the new analysis. Ice sheet models do well in describing the long-term impact of gradual global warming, which has seen temperatures at the poles rise far more quickly than for the planet as a whole. In another study published earlier this month in the Cryosphere, a journal of the European Geosciences Union, Slater and colleagues calculated that Earth's ice masses, including mountain glaciers, the Arctic ice cap, and both ice sheets, lost nearly 28 trillion tons of mass between 1994 and 2017.
This post received a score of 6,600, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
It's hard to be optimistic about the future these days. I know everybody's very down about 2020, but at the rate our planet and our social structure is fragmenting, it's hard to see any future other than a bleak one, full of natural disasters and authoritarian leaders trying to gaslight the populace into believing that it's never been better.
I hate the 2020 sucks memes. If you think this is bad, just wait till you see 2030.
Same. I get that the dark humor is a coping mechanism and people are trying to get some levity out of the situation, but this isn't just a bad year. Maybe Trump will be ousted this year, though I am not optimistic, and things will seemingly get better, but we are still faced with a total ecological meltdown within the next 30 years.
It's frustrating because just 5 years ago the fight was between tackling the problems versus just doing nothing. Now, doing nothing would be an improvement over what we have going backwards.
Listen all y'all, it's a sabotage.
I can't stand it.
I know you planned it.
I'ma set it straight. This Watergate.
It's almost like completely ignoring the problem has done nothing. Yes, the planet got destroyed. But for a beautiful moment in time we created a lot of value for shareholders.
Only when the last tree has been cut down, the last fish been caught, and the last stream poisoned, will we realize we cannot eat money.
Circumstances will force us to try, though.
Nope. Cannibalism first. Don't underestimate the power of short-term thinkers. They will continue to find a local optimum until it's down to the last person wheezing their last breath. I'm old enough to remember the warnings in the 80s that this was coming, and the reactions people had to global warming. We aren't going to do enough to stop this, it's already done.
It blows my mind that Earth Day, and recycling, and all of these other Earth-friendly activities were taught in the 90s too and we're still fucked.
Yet it turns out, even that was shifting the blame from corporations and industry to the people. It was almost pure propaganda, designed to make sure the corporations suffered zero consequences.
Greater than it was almost pure propaganda, designed to make sure the corporations suffered zero consequences because we are run by corporations, not the governments.
If there is any kind of catastrophe that, by the time it started showing tangible symptoms to the average citizen of the world, it was too late to stop, that would be a doomsday scenario. Because the average human being will not demand action until they can see the problem from their own backyard. Really, who can blame them? What are they supposed to do, believe scientists that the world is going to get completely fucked one way or another about 50 to 100 years from now? They have food, they have a job, their local weather is fine, they're not going to panic. It's a perfect worst-case scenario when it doesn't produce results until it's too late.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.